Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's Wednesday evening. We're back again talking this evening about the Miami Dolphins. And I got a special guest with me tonight. I got Madi Kroll at Madi Kroll. Madi, how are we doing this evening? Thank you for joining me tonight.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm so pumped. I'm excited about the team we're about to talk about. So, this is going to be a good episode.
It always makes it more fun when you're actually pumped up about the team, like with the
Yes.
Patriots, and not to knock any team out there or anything like that, but that's a hard team to talk about when you're fantasy focused and everything. It's like
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot of it's not a whole lot of well to grab there and everything like that. So it's kind of a dragging show, although I think we made the best of it for sure. But
I'm
me
sure
and
you guys did.
yeah,
No, but
absolutely.
that's so true. Bill Belichick's life, I think, vision is just F your fantasy team. I think that's his motto. I think he wakes up every morning and that's what he tells himself in the mirror is
I
F
really
your
think you
fantasy
might be
team.
right there. He's gone fully away from coaching even at this point. He's like, I just want to screw with the fantasy community. Although it's funny, I think
Mhm.
he's baiting us with a running back this year. He's like, oh no, here you go, guys. This guy's going to be full time. We're not even going to sign anybody, and wait till
Uh-huh.
week 2, and then they'll have Dalvin Cook and Leonard Fournette and somebody else.
Listen, it's always going to be spread out with the Patriots. It's never going to change. I mean, you'll turn off your TV every time you see a tight end jet sweep out of them, but other than that, it's just anticlimactic.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But unlike that team, there's a lot to be excited about with this team right here. They've got a lot of firepower. Unexpectedly, this team just kind of, I guess not really unexpectedly. They have been forming for it, but the picks, the way they've managed their draft picks into the players that they've turned them into, especially turning a couple of those picks into Tyreek Hill and then Jalen Waddle. That's a pretty nasty 1-2 punch to start it out. But first, we're going to go ahead and draft or address their free agency. It looked like they grabbed Braxton Berrios from New York Jets. This guy was always kind of one of those one-hit wonders every other year. Like he'd go in there, he'd score in 2 big games, everything like that. But then he just kind of go fade out. And now it looks like he's the wide receiver 3 on a team that only has Cedric Wilson Jr. Basically, you got a few other names back there, but he's basically the only other guy that's kind of a threat to Braxton
Mhm.
Berrios. What do you think about this 1-2-3 punch with Waddle, Hill, and now Berrios?
If you want my honest opinion, I think that this was a big off the field, we're going to make this work for our media team type situation. It was a cheap move for them overall when you look at the scheme of things. I think that I don't know how much you keep up with off the field drama, but his new girl is Alex Earl, who's a huge influencer in Miami, and she is now going to be working with the Dolphins because her man is on the team. So I think that that was a part of
Ah,
the appeal there for making it a big hype and acting like he's going to be a big part of this offense. I don't think he is. I think schematically we're going to see some changes with Miami's offense. I think that it's going to be a little bit more run heavy, at least to be able to create that threat so that they can open up the middle of the field so that they can do those RPO slots that they like and allow those guys to stretch the field. So whenever it comes to Braxton Berrios, I think that it's more of just we're going to do this in the offseason to get some spin and some buzz. I don't think that he's actually going to be campaigning for anybody's position. And I don't even know if he's a true number 3 guy. Like you said, he's not consistent.
right. He'll show up that one time. So do you feel like Cedric Wilson would probably be a guy to grab? Because you're going to be getting him in the 17th, 18th, 20th round in your draft. Do you think he'd be worth a grab to take over that number 3 position on an offense? Now they obviously will be run first, right? But I think there's still going to be the passing volume there, and the number 3 guy will have to at least see some targets when you got Hill and Waddle on the other side. They're going to be sucking up a lot of attention, so that number 3 is going to at least see some wide open situation.
Absolutely. As far as Cedric Wilson goes, if you can get him late and you're comfortable with him, then I say I don't think that that's a bad pick at all. I totally would stash him on the bench. What I envision happening is last year we saw a lot of 21 personnel from them, but nobody came down to cover in the box just because they knew they weren't going to run. They knew the threat was in the air, especially with Tua, because he's such as long as he can get his rhythm, he sets quick, he gets a ball off quick, and that's his strength, which Mike tries to play to, right? I think when I say it's going to be a little bit more run heavy, it's just in the instance of I think that they're going to set that up so it actually is a threat, and we get that run portion of the RPO offense. And I think because of that, we're going to see. I mean, listen, they brought in 2 tight ends that they're essentially just going to use to block. They've completely switched up their offensive line. They're bringing in guys who are right now training to be good run blockers. So in my mind, I think what they're trying to do is give those guys Waddle and Hill time to stretch. I do think that I like Wilson in the sense of I think what they're going to be utilizing him for is maybe when they're trying to create the illusion that we're going to get the ball down the field. I think that maybe he'd be a good guy towards the middle. We'll see what they do with him. But if you can get him late, I would take Cedric Wilson. I wouldn't take him any earlier than, I don't know, even like
the very end of the draft, right? But I mean, over Braxton Berrios anyways, right?
For
Like,
sure.
okay, yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I'm
that's just the
about
media
right there.
stunt. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, no,
I went on a tangent. I told you I was excited about this team. Let's go. I have so many ideas.
That's awesome right there. Now, so you're excited about the run game. The only real draft pick that they addressed was Devon Kane. Sorry, I can never pronounce his name properly. But we got Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. starting ahead of him. What are we thinking this 1-2-3 punch is going to look like? I mean, they still even have Myles Gaskin's still kicking around over there.
Myles Gaskin is still kicking around. Nobody's drafting there. What's interesting about that draft pick is he's a little bit of a receiver. So I don't know how I honestly don't know what that's going to look like in a sense of touches. I think that it's probably going to be pretty spread out until they have their guy, somebody who can prove that. They also are going to have to see what's going to happen with this offensive line. They don't even know who's going to be snapping the ball at center. So I'm really excited to see what happens next week when these rookies come into camp. I think that we're going to be able to tell a lot more. I would be for sure weary about picking up any of these running backs to get started off with the season.
Yeah, that's another thing that I'm kind of leery on is Miami's running game. I think you're right. I think the volume is absolutely going to be there, but I think you're going to see a lot of 10-8-8 split type things, and especially if you get Wilson and you get a Kane split up in the passing game as well. I mean, that's going to lose a lot of their value. I did just draft Jeff Wilson Jr. in the Scott Fish Bowl. Yep, in the 17th though. So I was going to say,
where did you pick him up at?
Yeah, the 17th. But man, I don't know what I did on my draft. I went Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson second and third after I got Fields.
I mean, being able to pick up Mark at second is nice. I saw a lot of people wanting to take him early with Travis Kelce.
Yeah, Kelce went 101 in my league. Yeah,
that was your league. Okay,
yeah, that was mine. Yeah, Kelce went 101.
I was showing some of my friends and they're like, idiots. And I was like, no. This is a whole different league we've got going on here. Different set of rules.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's definitely, I feel like he can definitely own that 101, especially when you look at the rest of that offense as well. But I digress on that. Now, so we're not drafting now. And their tight ends really aren't anything. So you said you're excited about this team. Is it just Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Tua that we're really excited about seeing these guys get let loose on the field and see what they can do?
Yes, I'm honestly really excited for Waddle. I think that he's the guy that I'm very, very interested in this year, for a couple of different reasons. But I think that what I'm excited for is the schematic changes. And I know I keep talking about that, but essentially what I think that Mike's going to try to do is create distractions or create enough of, they run out of motion so much. They literally set these guys up for success, but it's really easy to shut down the middle of the field, especially when you're talking about New England's defense, what we saw with the Chargers. So I think what they're going to try to do is they're allowing it to be more of a situation where you're going to have to, the middle of the field, you're going to have to adjust. You're going to have to come down in the box, which is going to allow these guys to run straight open. I think Waddle's actually going to have a bigger fantasy season than Hill this year. And he's the guy that I would definitely keep my eye on.
I like that. That's not even, to me, I mean, that's a bold take, but I don't think it's that bold of a take. I think Waddle has it in him. I think that he definitely has Tua's trust. I think Hill's one of those guys that he's going to get his every single game, right? He's going to get his 3 to 5 targets, but I think Jalen Waddle will probably be your 7 to 10 target guy. A lot more consistent and a lot more reliable as a fantasy threat. But now we got to address the elephant in the room a little bit here, right? Is Tua going to make it this year? He's very concussion prone, right? We're one shot in the head away from him probably calling it a career. I mean, so do we have a lot of faith in him being able to go out there, play confidently with that knowledge? Because I mean, it's not like he doesn't know that that's also the case. And is Mike White worth a grab just in case? Because he might. We just, like I said, I mean, we're one hit away. I hope to God it doesn't happen. I'd love to see Tua play a long lasting career, but it's not looking that way as it's being set up so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you always want to have a backup plan. Mike White's not at the top of my list. I also think that he might have some issues executing the type of offense that they're going to want to run, and so I think that there's other backup options that would be better. Now, if he's all you got left, then go ahead. But ideally, you want a better 2 or 3 quarterback. Tua, I actually think we're going to see more longevity out of him this year. Like I said, they've beefed up the offensive line. They're really trying to make that work. The other thing that's really great about him, we kind of talked about earlier, is he sets so quickly and gets the ball out. Everything's essentially one motion for him, which protects him. When I talk about getting that run game started, it's really going to help them control the pace of the game so that they're not just throwing a bomb, getting out there. He's not worried about having to drop back. It's going to take more pressure off of him and more hits off of him. So I think that that's going to help. But as far as the concussion stuff goes, I think that we're almost in the clear for that now, as in going into this next season. I'm not concerned about taking Tua. In fact, I think that he's going to be, I've seen him fall so late that if you can grab him, I think that he's a great pick.
Well, criminally undervalued if he can give you what he can give you. I mean, what he's capable of, and especially with the weapons that he has surrounding him. Yeah. Absolutely. And you're spot on. If they can make that running game work and make that be able to pace out, man, the team that can rush is a quarterback that's very hard to sack all of a sudden, because you cannot dedicate you just cannot come at him with the linebackers like you want to, right? Like 100%. Where you want to spin them on the outside, or else they're going to run all over you and they're going to get right around you, and you're not going to be able to stop that run. So it'll be curious. I'm definitely a little bit more excited about this team now after hearing your insights on it, for sure. Cause you definitely, you're spot on a lot of these things, especially with the offensive line bolstering and things like that. So that should really help to it. But yeah, I think he went in the 7th round. I
saw him go in the 9th round. I think it was Saturday. I have to look back at what league. I thought it was Scott Fishbowl, but in the 9th round. And I was like, why are people just sleeping on Tua? I don't know. I guess people are scared about the injury. I'm not as concerned.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, we always worry about these things, and I think that this is kind of one of those ones that it would be easy to over worry about. But at the same time, like I said, that kind of a looming threat. But everybody always says that. But I mean, there isn't a player in the NFL that doesn't have that looming threat, right?
1,000%.
Yeah, everybody in the NFL is one giant hit away from calling it good. I mean, it happened last year in that Bills game. I mean, it can happen to anybody.
Yeah, and that was a huge wake up call. But I think that we're in the clear as far as that goes with Tua, at least to begin this season. Obviously, we never know what's going to happen, but fingers crossed.
Excellent. Well, do you have anything else you would like to add about the Dolphins before we go ahead and close this thing out?
No, I just think the Dolphins are going to be an exciting team to watch altogether, even defensively. I think that it's going to be fun. I think we're going to score a lot of points, but don't sleep on Waddle. Don't sleep on Tua.
Yep, definitely. And maybe you can sleep on Hill a little bit more, but you definitely don't want to sleep on Hill ever either.
And don't draft a Dolphins tight end. Just don't. Yes, don't do it. Please don't do it.
I honestly, off the top of my head, I'd have to pull up their depth chart again to be able to name a Dolphins tight end. That's how far off of those guys I am right now.
Well, I think they only have one that was on the roster from last year. I know Kroll. Higgins.
Tyler Croft.
Who else?
Oh, Tyler Croft. Yeah, no, they got Durham Smythe, Eric Silver.
Eric, it was Eric. I was forgetting. Yes, he was rostered last year, I think. But anyways, none of them. They're being brought in to be blockers, so they're not going to do anything for your fantasy team.
Yep,
except for disappoint.
Yep, avoid them at all costs. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I had such a good time. It's always a blast getting to talk to people in this community, but it's especially fun getting to talk to them when they're passionate and enjoying the team and everything like that. Can you let everybody know where to find you, where to follow you?
At Madi Kroll. It's consistent on everything. You can find me anywhere with that.
Excellent.
Thank you for having me on. This was so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Had a blast. That was a good time for sure. And thank you guys. And make sure you're following at 32-Bit. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell, do all those fun things. Leave a 5-star review. Even if it's mean, you can leave a mean 5-star review. Just leave a 5-star review. Don't be a dick. Just do the right thing and put out there. We'll even read it and we'll rectify it for you right then and there.
But no one likes a dick.
Yeah, no one likes dick. It's don't do it. Don't do it. But thank you guys so much. You guys have a good evening, and we will see you guys next Monday.